Hi, this is Kyle Schwarber, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hey, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It's the Phillies Show. It's Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Guys, are you doing well this morning?
Well,
I'm doing particularly well.
You guys always sound so, you're like, yes. Ruben, you're behind. You're an hour behind us, so we appreciate you getting up early. This is how much of a gamer Ruben is. I forgot that he was going to Houston with the broadcast crew, with the team. And so we recorded on Monday at 7 a.m., 6 a.m. Central, right, Ruben?
gamer.
Correct.
And you got to the hotel at what time, Ruben?
I laid my head down around 3 in the morning.
Yes. Not nary a complaint from Ruben. He just said, let's do it. And, and he's like, I'm on 3 hours of sleep. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm at the hotel with the team. I was like, oh,
That's
God.
why we split this thing up 50, 25, and 25.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Oh, my gosh. The Phillies last night, Tuesday night, lose to the Houston Astros 1-0.
Tuffy.
Ranger Suárez pitched fantastically, and that is the great place to start. It is the Park's first pitch. First pitch is brought to us exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Guys, Ranger Suárez, fantastic, threw 98 pitches, through his first 98 pitches into the 8th inning, Tuesday night in Houston, and then he leaves a cutter over the plate to Cooper Hummel, who hits a home run to right center field. It's the only run of the game. The Phillies lose 1-0. I mean, Rangers was fantastic. 50 pitches through 5 no-hit innings. He makes 2 sick plays off the mound, catches a 1-3 double play to end the 4th inning, makes another fantastic catch off of Cam Smith in the 5th. Guy forgets his glove, leaves it back home in Philly.
That's so Ranger.
That is such a Ranger move.
That's how chill he is. In fact, he did it all. If he was still hitting in the lineup, he probably would have driven in a run to help himself.
He would have driven in 2 when he would have won 2-1. You're right.
2-1. Likely.
Stuck the bat out. I thought I was watching Greg Maddux, because Greg Maddux was Gold Glover. Gold Glover could make any play that a pitcher was presented with. And Ranger looked great defensively, always looks great defensively, great athlete. He's always in a good fielding position. But the way, he was cutter, changeup. He was down. He was getting the edge. Now he started walking it off the edge. It was like a left-handed Maddux. A lot of soft contact. It was a brilliant performance, and he's had a string of brilliant performances. Like his last 9, he's got a 1.17 ERA. And I'm digressing a little bit, but if he doesn't get hurt, he's pitching like he did the first half of last year. If he doesn't get hurt, are we even talking about him getting to free agency? Maybe we are, but maybe the Phillies make a really aggressive offer last winter to keep him. So
you're probably messing with the questions that we're going to get later on, Jim.
What's that?
You're probably messing with it. You're probably.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm just wondering.
No, you're right. No, you're good, Jim.
You're absolutely right. You're right. It puts the
is Luzardo even here? Is Ranger locked up? I just don't know. But that was a brilliant performance, and he's had a string of them.
You're darn tootin', man. Your nails on, because really the issue for him is not really what he, whether he's performing or not, because he always performs. And especially in the playoffs. Look at his record in the playoffs. It's ridiculous. It's about whether he can be durable and healthy enough. And I got to believe that in this day and age, there are going to be teams out there that say, you know what? We'll be able to manage that. We'll manage his innings. We'll throw 5 or, have him throw 5 or 6 innings, because our bullpen might be a little bit better than the bullpen that he was dealing with before. And, maybe, and somebody's going to pay this man. He and Framber Valdez, who we faced yesterday, are the 2 free agents, 2 lefty free agents. And beyond that, there are going to be teams battling for these 2 dudes. Phillies may be one of them, but they're going to be battling for these 2 dudes, and they're going to make some bank.
Major glue.
Bank.
So my colleague, buddy at MLB.com, Paul Casella, wrote this in his story last night from Houston, Tuesday night from Houston. Going back to when the mound was lowered in 1969, the only other Phillies pitchers to throw that many innings with an ERA in Rangers 6-2, 1.17 ERA over 61 and a third innings in his last 9 starts. To throw that many innings with an ERA that low over 9 start span, Steve Carlton, 1972. That was a good year.
He was okay.
Cliff Lee, 2011. That was a good year.
He was okay.
And the only other pitcher to do it was Ranger Suárez last season. So he's had 2 of these stretches in a row in consecutive seasons. And we did ask you guys, our viewers, our listeners, Tuesday to send us your questions. I wanted to start with one question. Got a lot of great questions, but I wanted to ask you this question because it involves Ranger. And this is from J.R. Adler on Threads. How do you not find a way to sign Ranger, especially with Zach Wheeler retiring at the end of his contract and Aaron Nola possibly wearing down? There must be a way. So many people seem to think it's a foregone conclusion that there is no money to sign Ranger Suárez. We have said many times on this show, if we had to bet money on who is not back out of Schwarber, Realmuto, and Suárez, we would all put a mortgage payment probably on Ranger Suárez not coming back. But Jim, you brought it up. Ruben, you mentioned it. If he keeps pitching like this,
what would you do, Jim?
I don't know. I apologize for preempting the question.
No, that's fine.
Why are you apologizing?
Because I'm polite.
I love it.
You know, what would I do? I still have questions about the durability. I know who the agent is. They're going to test it. They're going to keep him out there a long time. They're going to work the market. I think he's looking for a big score. You already have 2 $300 million commitments, and there's a long time left on those. I think Schwarber, retaining him is vital in this ballpark with that power. You don't have a ton of power to begin with. There's a lot of variables. I know Aaron Nola is wearing down, and we see evidence of it. But, you know, separate of that, there's still a long-term commitment to him with a lot of money attached to it. There's a lot of money attached to Zach Wheeler over the next 2 years. They're already at the 4th luxury tax. I don't know where John Middleton is willing to go. But if he's willing to just blow past it a la the Mets, then I could see him being here. Would I like to have him if he's pitching the way he has pitched? More so, would I like to have him if he has shown the health he has shown the last 2 months? Indeed, yes, I would, because I think the health will precede the performance. If he's healthy, he will perform. I just don't know. I don't know. And a lot of it depends on what happens with Schwarber. Can you get out from some money this winter? Because you still have commitments to Castellanos and Taiwan Walker for 26. Look, I think it's worth bearing down on and seeing if you can make it work, seeing how far the owner is willing to go. All I know is Ranger Suárez is on an incredible salary drive, and I expect it to continue over these final months. That's why I thought it was so absurd, the talk going around town about trading him a few weeks ago. You need him if you want to win the World Series this year. In the rotation, in the bullpen, you just need him getting out somewhere, and probably in the rotation. But, you know, I don't know. I don't get paid to make these decisions. I get paid a very small amount of money to sit here on the YouTuber and talk silly about these decisions. Ruben actually got paid to make these decisions. What would you do?
I would preemptively try to sign both Realmuto and Schwarber, and I would hold off on Ranger until I found out that he can pitch all the way through this season, and knowing that he's healthy and takes care of himself. That's
so you want to see more health.
I want to see more health. I want to see him play it out. And listen, I love the guy. I love the way he pitches. I love everything about him. But you know, your best ability is your availability, and if he's not able to pitch, and I'm going to commit $200 and some million to the man, which is what it's going to cost probably, because now you're talking about Max Fried type money. Am I wrong?
No, he's going to go for that. Max Fried was 218, right?
So we're talking about $200 million.
He's definitely going to go for that.
And if he finishes off the season the way he's pitching right now, that's exactly what Scott Boras is going to be looking for, and more. More
and
than
Ruben,
that.
and Ruben, you're right too, because every team, right, just like a hitter that's coming off a down year, you have your hitting coach tell you, Ruben, I can fix this guy. Let me get my hands on this guy, or the pitching coach can say, the training staff can say, yeah, he's been down and out, but I think he's healthy. I mean, this is kind of related, not the exact same situation, but the Phillies let Zach Eflin go a few years ago, basically because they're like, this guy's going to look for a multi-year deal. He's got a lot of knee issues. He's had some back issues. We're not going to lock this guy up to a 3 or 4 year deal. The Tampa Bay Rays said, we can keep him healthy. We'll sign him to a multi-year deal, And so there's going to be a team out there that is not going to be scared away by the fact that he's, he ended up last season getting hurt, and he started this season on the injured list, and he's had a history of health issues, because they're just going to look at those numbers and go, we'll do what the Phillies can't do.
What they're really going to do is make sure they're going to look at his arm and his shoulder and say, hey, he's healthy. He's not had any arm or shoulder problems. He's had, a back and, side and this and that. And they'll say, hey, the risk is much, much lower than maybe on some other guys. So that's why I hold off. I hold off to the end of the season until he makes this last pitch with the Phillies, and then I decide what to do with him, or, depending on what my payroll looks like, then I decide on, whether to bring him back. I'd love to bring him back. He's a great pitcher. He's fun to watch. He's done it in the tight. He's done it in the playoffs. He's done it as a closer. He's done it as a starter. There's no reason why I wouldn't want to bring him back, except that, I'm not sure if he's going to be durable enough to put those kind of dollars into this man. And he's going to have to prove that through the end of the year. Hopefully, for the Phillies, hopefully he does.
All of these questions, guys, are, from Real Muto to Schwarber to Ranger. That's why you got to win now. You got to win now. They got to win in 2025. I expect them to play in October. They're going to play in October. They need to put together a good month and win while this nucleus is together and it has tread on their tires. And before you're faced with this decision on Ranger, and before you know what's going to happen to Schwarber, while they're all here, you need to cash in now. These are fascinating topics. And this has been First Pitch, presented exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. You can visit their website at parkscasino.com. You must be 21 years old, and gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So we asked for a bunch of questions, we asked for questions, and we got a ton of questions from everybody on Tuesday.
Thanks for getting your internet together. I'm glad you're at home and you're doing your own thing there.
It is nice to be home finally, in air conditioning.
God bless all those folks out there who struggle with all that power and tornado and all that action. All of you guys, both of you guys, suffered through that, man. That must have been rough, man. Sorry that you had to deal with it.
And thank you to all the Pico crews that from inside PA, and all the crews that came from outside the state to get everybody back up and running. Hopefully, most everybody is back up and running by this point. Before we get to some questions, Shibe, every week they give us a nice little giveaway to our listeners and to our viewers. And check this one out. We've got the latest giveaway from Shibe Vintage Sports. It is a maroon Philly Fanatic Cardinal. They call it a cleanup hat. It's by 47 brand. So if you want a chance to win this cap, you can scan the QR code right now on your screen. Grab your phone, run to the TV, run to your laptop, scan the QR code. If you're not watching us, you can go to shibesports.com/TPS for a chance to win this cap. Philly Fanatic, of course. Any hat with the Fanatic on is a winner. You see the Phillies have the DP hats. I was thinking last night, the Fanatic before every game, Dan Baker will announce the Phillies lineups, and he'll kind of make fun of the guys on the other team, and then he'll kind of like impersonate the guys on the Phillies team. Pat Burley kind of do like the strut. Carlos Ruiz, he'd pretend he was riding the jockey, riding the horse. Did he ever do anything for you, Ruben? Do you recall when you were in the starting lineup at the Vet?
Yeah, when I came to the plate, like he made me like a little tiny man. He made me a little tiny guy.
Like Rafael Belliard, he always used to do that too.
Baby Ruben Jr. And then pat me on my tuchus. On your way, kid.
That is great.
I will tell you this: the Fanatic, when he did that, honestly, this is no BS. When he did that, I would go to the. I mean, I would literally go to the GM box and just watch him do it.
Oh yeah.
Like during the times that we were trying to win, championships and stuff, I would just go there and just watch him, and it was just so fun to watch him do his thing, man. Really.
Remember the time, Ruben, you probably had just moved into the front office as the assistant GM, and JD Drew came in and he brought out this big bags of money with dollar signs on. I don't think that was received real well.
It was not received well at all. But it was
the other good
Teflon on the Fanatic.
The other good one was every time Bruce Bochy comes in town, the Fanatic will pretend to put Bruce Bochy's head on, and he will literally start stumbling to one side because his head is leaning a particular way. And all the players, and whoever it is, Bruce Bochy when he was with the Padres or the Giants, and now I guess with the Rangers, they all think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious. How about when he falls down and he can't bring his head? He falls with his head down on the turf, and then he can't pull his head up off the ground.
When Bochy was a player, he was a catcher. He had the catching helmet, and when he was traded, he used to have to take it from team to team, and they used to have to spray paint it because he couldn't find another one to fit.
Yeah, it was like a size 8.5 or something.
My favorite, my personal Fanatic story was spring training several years ago. I sit in the corner of the press box at Baker Ballpark, right. So there's the window you can open immediately to my left, and then one straight ahead. And I had been telling the Fanatic, kind of waving at him when he was shooting hot dogs into the stands at Baker Ballpark. I'd been doing this for several games over the course of this spring training. And finally he noticed me, and he had tried to shoot a couple toward my way so I could try to lean out the window and catch it. So during this one game, he fires one up to me like, holy crap, this is coming my way. I leaned to the left, window was closed, smashed my face up against the window full force, cut my eye, big grease stain on the window because I was nice and oily that day, a nice hot summer, nice spring day. Left a nice little imprint on the window and a nice little cut above my eye from slamming my face in the window.
Yeah.
Got to open the window before you stick your head out of it, guys.
You loser.
I did feel like a loser.
Sounds like something Jim would do.
I've had a few moments in the press box where I've embarrassed myself.
We all have had our moments. How about when I missed the ball and it hit Tom McCarthy right in his boob?
How about when you were giving somebody the single finger salute and you got caught on camera?
Yeah, and everybody thought I was doing it to the fans.
Yeah.
Somebody, one of the websites said that this is what Ruben Amaro thinks of you fans.
Tell them who it was for. We know who it was for. It was for
like Charlie Kerfeld or Mike Hondo or both of them.
I thought it was, it was for a couple of your assistants who were sitting behind the screen. I thought it was for Ando.
It was Ando. I was screaming down on, hey, Mike. And I flipped him off, gave him the bird, and then somebody caught it on camera. That's
just so we know, that's how baseball people greet each other. Remember the night you were in Turner Field when I made a motion over to Fransky, Todd, and it almost got caught on camera?
Oh, yes, you did.
Thank God it didn't.
It was like Jim gave a little salute to Scott Fransky, and
they were making fun of me over something.
Yeah, they were making fun of him, and at that moment, the TV camera they were going to go, "Internet Jim Salisbury at NBC Philly, blah blah blah," and he was like missing by a split second.
Then there was the night I was caught picking my nose. That was a famous moment.
I still see that picture on my phone every once in a while.
To which I say, one of life's simple pleasures.
That is right. Well, if you want an opportunity to win the cap we just showed you, that Philly Fanatic maroon cap, scan the QR code on your screen right now if you're watching us on YouTube, or visit shibsports.com/TPS.
Hit the wrong button, Todd.
You hit the wrong button. We'll edit that out. Maybe we'll just leave it in for fun. And after these messages, we will answer some of your Phillies trade questions.
People liked this last time, so we're going to do it again. Read one of the fantastic, unique, creative dishes on HelloFresh. Creamy Alfredo truffle cavatappi pasta?
Cavatappi, maybe? But I'll just go with the Indian-inspired chicken paired with turmeric rice. That sounds awesome. Everything about this is delicious, fresh, comes in a little bag, and I like to cook, so I like to chop up the ingredients. I like to throw stuff in the pan, mix it up. It makes me feel like I'm doing something, Scott, and they always come out amazing.
Yes, you can be a star at home with America's #1 meal kit. Make your summer enjoyable and delicious by signing up for HelloFresh at HelloFresh.com/FT10FM and get 10 free meals with a free item for life. That's HelloFresh.com/FT10FM for 10 free meals and a free item in every box. 1 per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
We're back. Lots of questions. And in fact, we've got so many questions, we might have to answer some on Friday morning. But let's start right here. A lot of trade deadline questions. We understand why the Phillies have been playing good baseball lately. They have a chance to not only win the NL East, but they want to win the World Series. So first question comes from Scotty Doesn't Know on X. Is Dave Dombrowski finally going all in during this window they're in? This is year 4, and not once has he made a huge splash at the deadline to push us over the top with a top arm or top bat.
Go ahead, Ruben.
Ruben's leaning on a camera view. He's like, whoop.
Not doing it. I just got a coffee delivered by
my God.
Other half.
Like, what are we talking about, Splat? If you knew for a fact that you were going to get a big dog acquisition and he was going to perform and put you over the top, of course you'd do it. It's just that uncertainty, you know?
So here's the biggest problem. It's still early, and it sounds crazy, but it is still early. But because there's so many teams, there are mathematically probably still 20 or so teams that are in the race, and they don't want to show their fans that they're out of it. They got to sell tickets. They have to show people that they're in this thing until they're not. Mm-hmm. And they also want to try to maximize their assets so that, you know, they want to put a little heat on the teams that might. I mean, all these teams have the same needs. Everybody needs a bat. Everybody needs a couple of bats. Bullpen piece. Everybody needs it. Every single team. They're all flawed. And, you know, it's about, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Trades are so difficult to make. I'm not saying they can't be made, and I'm not saying you don't have, you know, I mean, you can have the assets to get something done, but how does it affect your future? How does it affect your present? Does it make you a winner? Does it give you a real chance to be better? What I do think, though, is that when you roll out a team and a lineup like you rolled out yesterday, from the 5th hitter, from the 6th hitter to the 9th hitter, you're basically rolling out a AAA ball club. No disrespect to the players, Buddy Kennedy, Otto Kemp, Johan Rojas, those guys are not established major league players. And so you're rolling out players who've had some levels of success in the minor leagues, some limited success in the big leagues. And can you count on those types of players to win you a World Series against a left-handed pitcher that you might be facing? A Max Fried, whoever it may be. Framber Valdez. I mean, and I think what they're doing right now is finding out. They're finding out if Otto Kemp can play left field and for a championship team. They're finding out, obviously, Buddy Kennedy's in there because we don't have our first baseman, or the Phillies don't have their first baseman. But, you know, I think center field is an issue, especially from the right side. I think the outfield in general is an issue, especially from the right side of the plate. And obviously, you know, adding to that bullpen is essential as well. So, I think Dave Dombrowski is going to do what he's going to try to do exactly what, I mean, he knows the situation. He's been there. He's done it. He's made trades. He's made big trades. In the past for other organizations, he's tried to do it in a judicious way in the past. The question is he really going to go all out? And is he going to move Andrew Painter to be that guy? Is he going to move the shortstop? Is he going to move, all three of them to get those guys, a multiple of those guys? I don't see it necessarily. It's possible, but I just don't see it.
He's going to have to move something that's going to hurt because they really need a legit bullpen guy. I know the end of that game. I know the bottom of the order last night really hurt them. I know Kennedy and Rojas were 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. I know they were manhandled by left-handed pitching all night, including the reliever Hader. They need a right-handed bat in the outfield. We're going to find out about Kemp, as you mentioned, but they really need a guy in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, and I'm probably leaning toward the 9th inning. But whether it's Emmanuel Clase or Aroldis Chapman, we don't think Mason Miller is going to be available. But I'll tell you what. What's that?
The guy in Baltimore.
The guy in Baltimore. Tampa Bay's in it, so the Fairbanks guys, I got to think, they're right there. The guy in Minnesota, Duran, but it's going to hurt. It's good. Whatever they do, they're going to give up a guy who's going to play in the big leagues and probably be pretty good, has a lot of upside. But is that all in? I don't know. I think it's pretty. I think when you have two $300 million players, a $100 million player, a $42 million pitcher, a $170 million pitcher, $115 million. I think you're all in. Now you got to fill a big hole in the bullpen, and you're going to have to give up a prospect, and it's going to hurt. And to me, that means, I think they're going to. That would be my definition of going all in. My definition of going all in isn't emptying my farm system and giving up my top 4 or 5 prospects. It's probably, filling one substantial need with one substantial talent and giving up one substantial prospect. So,
right.
What I can see them doing, guys, actually is, believe it or not, and I'm not big on this, but you may be moving a guy like Marchand in a package, because Marchand could be a guy that someone views as an everyday catcher, maybe, and he becomes an asset. You may be moving multiples of different types of deals. And I'm sure that Dave Dombrowski is exploring all of them, and will explore all of them all the way up until the trade deadline.
You look at like the names that are out there for outfield help. I mean, everybody would say, the Phillies could use a center fielder. They could use a right-handed hitting corner outfielder. But the names out there aren't guys that you go, oh, they're going to go. Like
same names as last year.
Yeah, Hunter Pence in 2011. You're like, wow, this guy can hit for some power. He's dynamic. He's a right-handed bat. He's a middle of the order bat. You're talking. Here's some of the names that keep coming up: Luis Robert Jr. No thanks. Adolis Garcia. He had a great year 2 years ago. Look at his numbers the last 2 years. Not that great. Jarren Duran from the Red Sox. He was fantastic last season. He has not been that good this season. Taylor Ward, go look at his splits against left-handed pitching. Not that good. Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. He can play center field, but
220.
He's hitting 220. Hitter. So you talk about all in. Is there the all in big right-handed bat? You're looking, oh my God, he's going to protect Bryce Harper. He's going to split up Schwarber and Harper. This is unbelievable. I don't think that guy is out there. So
the guy I was keeping an eye on a little bit was that Miguel Andujar. He hit some home runs for the Yankees a while back. He hasn't hit a lot of home runs lately, and now he's on the IL with an oblique, and who knows how long that's going to take. But his power numbers they don't really jump out at you anymore. They're pretty suspect, in fact. But I mean, he's on the IL, so now you can.
The left field, he's not even really. He started off as a third baseman. They put him in the outfield.
But you need something if Otto Kemp isn't gonna be the guy,
right?
But there's not a lot out there in terms of that right-handed bat.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll thoughts and prayers on X is: do you think there's a realistic deal that includes Aidan Miller or Andrew Painter?
Miller, yes. Painter, I think they've put so much time and. It's just maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I see him as being pitching his first major league game for the Phillies and being in the opening day rotation next year. But that Ruben,
Yeah, I agree with that. But if it's a guy that they can hold on to for the next several years, and he's an impact player, I mean, I am of the mindset, and listen, Andrew Painter has a chance to be really dynamic in the rotation. I'm not sure that they're not seeing the real Mick Abel right now. Can he get better? Yes. But now you trade Andrew Painter, and the Mick Abel Andrew Painter combination that you thought you might have for next year that might be outstanding is gone. Then you're forced to sign a guy like Ranger Suárez. Otherwise, your rotation's decimated.
Mm-hmm.
I would not move Andrew Painter. I would consider moving Abel, just because I think the ceiling on Andrew Painter is much higher. And while he's pitching just okay in AAA right now, and he's getting some, he's getting some has some growing pains there. He's still pitching and learning pitching at the higher levels. I'd be more apt to move a guy like Abel, and yes, I would certainly consider moving Aiden Miller, even though he's got a chance to be a really dynamic player, and an everyday shortstop down the road. If I'm going to get somebody who's going to impact my team this year and for the following years, I have to consider it.
Can I ask you guys a dumb question? Do you think, I mean, Painter, you mentioned, what'd you say?
They're dumb answers, not dumb questions.
Like,
Take it from a man who's answered a lot of dumb questions, or who's made a lot of dumb answers.
So, Painter's had, like you mentioned, kind of some up and down at AAA.
Mm-hmm.
But the talent is off the charts, right? And all the needle's been pointing toward the big leagues for so long, and there's been this countdown to joining the Phillies rotation for so long. And here's the dumb question part: do you think he's bored at AAA? Not bored, but just there's something missing adrenaline wise, because he feels like he's ready and I should be there, and it's been talked about so long, and he just, I don't know. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess I could see that possibly, but I think I would hope that
like his heart's somewhere else. And I know it's inexcusable. It can't happen for an athlete. You got to do the thing where your feet are, as they say. But I mean, he's also a human being.
Right, but you talk right. I mean, you hear players say that all the time. Like, you try to treat spring training games like a real game, but it's just the adrenaline's just not there, or rehab starts just not there. Right.
What does Ruben think?
Yeah, Frankie Montas came back from the Mets, and he was pitching terribly in AAA. And
good last night.
Yeah, he was good last night. Yeah,
and they blew the lead. The Mets blew the lead.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I guess there could be something to that.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Mentally, you could probably be a little not into it. But I mean, this is a kid who's still growing and still learning, and he's going to have to take every. I mean, this is part of overall development. At some point, a pitcher is going to have to understand that each pitch means something. Each individual pitch, whether it's 60 of them he throws or it's 110 of them that he throws, has meaning, especially at the major league level. And he's going to have to dial it in mentally to do that. And it doesn't matter whether he's in AA, AAA, or in the Dominican pitching. That's something that he's going to have to learn to do consistently. So always tests. And that's what they make the minor leagues for.
And when I say that, is his mind, it's inexcusable. Like I said, it can't happen. I just wonder, human nature, if it's in the back of his mind, like, okay, when is this going to happen? But, I digress.
He's probably thinking, it's almost July-ish.
That's right.
It is July-ish.
Yeah. July-ish.
Yeah.
It is July-ish. So Phillies resume play on Wednesday night, right? It is Wednesday.
You got more questions? You must have more questions.
Oh, we got more questions. But I wanted to mention that it's Wednesday night.
Sorry.
If you can't watch the game at home, you don't want to watch a game at home, you're not at the ballpark, of course, you can swing by Parks Casino, Ruben, right?
Yeah, you sure can. You get your cool summer vibes, and they await you at Parks Casino. It is my casino of choice up there in Bucks County, Street Road, exit off of I-95 and the PA Turnpike. They've got action, excitement, headline entertainment. Parks Casino is perfect for a girls and guys night out. and after work happy hours, date nights. I mean, it's a gathering place. It's not like just a place to go gamble, which is a great place to do so. But there's horses. It's literally a destination spot. You can check out concerts there. There's comedy at the Excite Center, a collection of award-winning restaurants. I mean, the Liberty Bell Beer Gastropub and Beer Garden, pretty awesome there. Chickies and Pete's there. There's so many different places to go and to enjoy yourself. They have some tremendous cover bands coming. 360 at the 360 Lounge on Friday. This Friday, it's the Exceptions. They take the stage, and then on Saturday, it's the band The Fish Out of Water, Parks Casino. This is how you win. Pennsylvania's #1 casino, parkscasino.com for tickets for all shows. You must be 21. Don't forget, got to be 21. If you got a big gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, Ruben, you embody cool summer vibes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
So last thing I want to say about Andrew Painter, my last point, as I'm belaboring this. I thought about what I want to say. There's that old saying, a watched pot never boils. And I wonder if he's watching his pot too closely and it's prevented him from coming to a boil. That is the summation of my Andrew Painter point.
Well, what a metaphor. What a metaphor.
I love it. I love it.
You're a wordsmith, James.
We've got here's a great one. I want to ask this question just because I love the way the question is phrased. This is from Billy Mumfrey on X. Is this the Duran trade dedeadline?
Is that question from Simon LeBron?
Are you guys big Duran fans? Because I was.
I mean, as an '80s kid, I loved some Duran. Yeah, of course. So of course, Duran. We're not talking about Simon LeBron, Jim. Come on, you know better. No, I'm kidding. It's Jaron Duran, and is it Joan Duran from the Twins? That would be Duran from the Twins would be fantastic.
Yes. Wow.
Jaron Duran from the Red Sox, like I mentioned earlier, great last year, All-Star Game MVP, All-Star. Has a bit of a down year this year, but what do you guys think of that idea?
I dig the gopher.
I'll take both of them.
You take both.
I like both of them.
Duran's a lefty bat, though, right?
He's a lefty bat, but I like the way he plays. He sort of seems to me like he's a Philly type player, and I think for some reason there's something going on in Boston. They screwed up so many different things in Boston, in the front office there, with Devers and all that other stuff. That I think he wants to get out of there. He had an incident at one point with a fan or something. I feel like he'd be a great guy to get out of Boston and into a Phillies uniform. I like the energy of the player. I think, when I started thinking about, the personalities that you want to have in Philadelphia, that's why Hunter Pence was big for me, because he was an energy player. I like those energy players because they want to rise to the moment. And I think Duran's one of those guys. I may be wrong, but that's what looking from the outside in. And I mean, obviously Duran over there with Minnesota, boy, would he be nice in a red pinstripe. Woohoo! That'd be nice.
Well, the first question I asked you guys was, is Dave Dombrowski going to go all in? You would be going all in a major way if you got both of those two guys, because both of those guys are under team control for several more years. So Correct. You would have to think Aiden Miller would have to go, maybe Justin Crawford, Eduardo Tait, some of these other guys, even if they could somehow manage to hang on to Andrew Painter, that would be an all-in type of move where you'd be giving up a lot of your prospect capital to pull off something like that. So
yes,
it would be great.
You would be naked in your minor league system after two of those deals. You'd be nude.
I would spend my big prospect capital on a closer, late game guy that has control years over a center fielder, because the kid up in Lehigh, I think, is still very intriguing.
Yep.
He just got back in the lineup. He hasn't lit it up, but he might be here pretty soon, and he might be pretty good.
Ben Tafoya on Threads, M. Germino on Instagram. Which reliever would you like to see the Phillies trade for right now? If you guys could just make it happen, I guess. You don't have to worry about
all of them.
Yeah.
All
of them.
Chapman. I like Chapman. I like Clase.
I like Chapman.
And
He's been there and done it.
My fantasy league guy is Mason Miller. But
he's been down this year though. That doesn't bother you? You think he's he's been hit around a little bit.
Got some control.
Yeah.
Contractual
I like the Chapman. I don't think it's going to cost you as much. I know it's just 1 year or a couple of months of control. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Chapman, left-hander.
Yep. He fits all the criteria.
With Alvarado out, I mean, I've been talking about Chapman for weeks, and they're going to trade him and they're going to hold somebody up. You watch.
So what about the idea though that, Chapman would be fantastic and you can never have too many good arms, but focusing on a right-handed arm because hypothetically you could see them move Sanchez or Luzardo into the bullpen in the postseason. Suarez keeps pitching like this. I would think they would want to keep him in the rotation. But our argument would be, okay, you're going to go get Chapman. You still don't have a right-handed arm really that you can rely upon. Orion Kirkland's been fantastic. Romano's been so up and down. And you're going to move, again, Sanchez, maybe Luzardo into the bullpen.
Don't be surprised if Abel and or Painter slide into the back end of that bullpen in the playoffs. Okay. Both of them.
Even Painter with the injury history.
Absolutely. I think that they'll pitch him all the way through, and they might throw him in the playoffs. You may be seeing him in the bullpen. Very,
very, very risky. I would use him as an opener, but he, as a reliever, as a starter, he can go 0 to 60 in 10 seconds. As a reliever, he has to go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. I'm worried about that elbow.
I wouldn't worry as much just because it's 2 years removed.
Okay.
2.
Okay. Josh Jennings fan page on Threads. Which hitters should the Phillies trade for? Is there anybody out there that you like hitting wise? I mentioned some of the names earlier. No one that gets you like,
they all stink.
Yeah. They get, yeah. Anybody, Jim, for you that catches your eye? But like I said, there's nobody in there that we mentioned.
An interesting guy that they might trade is Tyler O'Neill. And I'm not a big Tyler O'Neill guy because he's got
always
2
hurt.
years. So he's always hurt. But man, he can make an impact for a short period of time. He can make an impact on your team from the right side with some power.
The problem is
an outfielder, but the problem is you got him for 2 more years. It's an interesting name. I'm not a big Tyler O'Neill guy long term, but short term, I really like the guy because he can be an impact player for a short period of time.
I was throwing around that name last winter. He got a 3-year deal, and then he's been on the DL, I think, twice this year. It's very worrisome. But I mean, I think about his 2021, his second half down the stretch. He was amazing for St. Louis. Is he back? Is he back off the IL?
I don't think so.
He's still. Yeah, he's still on the IL. I'm trying to see when he's.
I will tell you this: they will move him. I'm sure that they're one.
Why wouldn't they? He's owed all that money.
They might give him away.
He's on a rehab. He's on a rehab assignment right now.
What about the other guy on that team? The other right-handed hitter. I know he's bounced around, and I don't think he's a right-handed hitter. I don't think he lights up lefties, but he hits righties. I believe.
Mountcastle?
No, Laureano.
I'm not in.
Oh, yeah.
He's flash in the pan. I mean, listen, he could play center field and left field.
I'm looking for 6'8" with good weeks. Flash me in my pan.
I'm not flashing you in your pan. I'm
not today. You're not.
I'm looking for a short timer. 8 weeks and a handshake.
Okay, well, here's a couple of names. I mentioned.
Not a terrible name. It's not a terrible name because you can play some outfield.
How about this one?
He's got some grit to him. I always liked his toot a little bit. He's got a little sneer.
You like his toot?
He's got a little toot.
I like a little sneer.
How about this name? Now, this is a name that we talked about in the offseason. We said absolutely not because this guy is always hurt. But when he's healthy, he is really, really good. And he is healthy right now. Nickels and Dimes on X. And he says, is Ruben ready to entertain the idea? But it's really all of us ready to entertain the idea. Is Ruben ready to entertain the Byron Buxton option he shot down in the offseason? Well, we all shot it down in the offseason because the guy is always hurt. He's got Byron Buxton. You're still not there?
How many more years?
Oh, how many more years? He has a 7-year, $100 million deal signed through 2028. So Byron, man, he is having an insane year right now for the Minnesota Twins, who are under 500. I'm sure they would love to get rid of that contract, but I want to point out
if they pay it all the way down, and they might. I mean, I don't know what the AAV is on that, but if they pay it all the way down, yeah, we'd consider it. But that's a lot of years of IL time. The man is going to be on there at least half the time, so you have to prepare for that. He's going to be on the IL for half the time.
And you're not just saying that, Ruben, because since 2017, he has played more than 92 games one time. And that was last year. He played 102 games. So it wasn't like he even threw in a 155 game season. He's only played more than 102 games once in his entire career.
That's why
yeah, I mean, if the Twins
pay him way down, I mean, they have to be like a $10 million player for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
that's it.
Jim, what do you think?
I think Ruben, his sound effects and his gestures were all pretty spot on. It's hard for me to take on a lot of money for an injury risk, you know?
Right.
Not just a risk. It's a definite. He's proven to it.
I'm a Tyler O'Neill fan when he's healthy.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just it's like he signs with Baltimore this year and immediately on the IL. It's just it's tough. So you
got to be on the field to be performing, and you got to be on the field to make an impact. And if you're not on the field, then what's the point?
Totally. So, all right, we have a lot more trade questions, some free agent questions. Maybe we'll get to some of those on Friday. I want to wrap up with 3 kind of off the beaten path questions. Our dear friend of the podcast, he goes by the name of Red Mustang on YouTube. He loves to crush us. He crushes us on YouTube, but he loves the podcast. So we love Red Mustang. He kills us all the time. Red Mustang wants to know favorite Led Zeppelin song, Kashmir omitted for obvious reasons. Do you have a favorite Led Zeppelin song? I'd say Good Times, Bad Times, because that was Roy Halladay's warm-up song. That one sticks out to me. That's always a good one. I got to ask a question of Red Mustang. Do you enjoy watching the Phillies? Because it seems like you hate it.
A favorite Led Zeppelin song.
Like suffering through it.
Yeah.
Good Times, Bad Times is a good one.
Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
There we go.
Stairway to Heaven is going to be mine, I guess.
Jason Allen McLean on X. When is Jim Garden Talk segment coming?
The garden took a big beating in the storm. All my tomatoes were like mashed into the ground.
Let's discuss that on Friday, shall we?
Yeah.
Well, I need the full story because I want about 30 minutes of it.
No, I just give you real quick. The storm hit all my tomatoes were mushed into the mud. I had to get out there with like a feather duster and, when the mud died and brush them off. But,
you're that gentle. You're that gentle with your veggies.
Yeah.
You're soft and gentle.
You have to spank your tomatoes. No, I'm serious.
Hey now.
When they get to a certain size.
This is a PG-13 show.
No, this is the truth. You have to spank your tomatoes. So when the plants get to a certain size, maybe 2.5, 3 feet tall, and all the little yellow flowers start popping. Now you want those flowers to pollinate and start talking to each other. You want the bees and everything to do their work. A little light wind will help pollinate, but you can take like a rolled up newspaper or remember those or even like a stick or something, and you can go around and kind of spank the stalk of the tomato and kind of move them around, jostle them a little bit, and that will help the pollination. So you'll get more tomatoes.
I love it. See, maybe we could find a local garden center maybe to sponsor. We could do a weekly.
There has to be one
garden talk segment.
Some nursery has to be tightening us up.
But I'm also very, very frustrated. All my sunflowers are getting eaten by a mysterious bug. I mean, the leaves are turning to mesh, and I love sunflowers.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I'm
We
sorry.
have the same issue. And last question, Tom Robeson on Blue Sky says, Jim, your old NBC Sports Philly podcast partner, Corey Simon, has announced he's leaving. Any favorite memories of your time with Corey? We all love Corey, so I wanted to make sure to ask that question. He is covering the team this week in Houston. This will be his last series covering the team. Jim, you got any good stories of
I'd have to think. We did have a lot of laughs over the years, and we had a lot of laughs on the podcast. I will say this: an amazing talent, an amazing person, from an amazing family, and a great off the charts teammate.
Mhm.
I had more fun working with that guy than I could ever imagine, and he was a great teammate and a great friend. I wish him well. And a funny story, on the podcast we used to do, he mentioned how his favorite section to sit at was way high above home plate at Citizens Bank Park. And he goes, he said section 420. And I immediately said, you see Gelb up there? And that was, I remember we both couldn't stop laughing, and it wasn't planned. It was just, but we had a lot of fun. Really sharp sports mind, even beyond baseball.
Yeah, I
Great.
got to say this. I have to say that. I know Barkan calls him affectionately Corla, but this is a guy that dedicated to his craft, loved covering baseball, really kind, gentle human being, and wish him the best. It's a decision that he's made, and hopefully we'll be seeing him around the ballpark some. But great dude, and I wish him the best.
Yeah, I get to sit. I sat next to him in the press box at Citizens Bank Park, Corey, and we would laugh all the time and just talk baseball. And just a great guy to have in the clubhouse. And knew how to move around the clubhouse, ask great questions. Knows baseball. And like I said, Jim, you have mentioned this many times. A tremendous teammate he was when you guys were both at NBC. And how many times you would call him after posting a story, and he'd be like, "I'm on it." He'd take care of whatever issue you might have had if he had a typo in there or whatever the case may be. But a lot of fun talking to Corey. I'm going to miss it next to him in the press box. We did have a lot of laughs talking about everything under the sun. So. Corey, good luck to you, man. Hope to see you at the ballpark soon, and we will be back on Friday.
Smell you later, boys.
Right, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.